And just before the holidays, Trump added one more member to his administration, naming Wilbur Ross his Secretary of Commerce. The billionaire investor is known as the king of bankruptcy for buying failing companies. Ross took to Twitter to confirm the appointment. Earlier, Trump chose two women for his cabinet. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley was picked as US ambassador to the UN, while Betsy DeVos has been selected as Education Secretary. Well, let's speak to Ben Margulies, who's a research fellow in the Department of Politics and International Studies at the University of Warwick. He joins us now from Coventry. Good to have you with us, Ben. So until now, Trump had been basically accused of filling his cabinet with white men. I guess his appointment of two women now is going to put paid to that, and one of them, the daughter of Indian immigrants.
I wouldn't necessarily say it would put paid to any sort of controversy. I mean, it's difficult to ignore everything Trump has said over the last year and a half. It's also worth pointing out that the number, these are, two women of, say, 20, 25, maybe, top executive level administrative positions, and the positions they're taking aren't particularly important. The ambassadorship to the UN, Republicans have never been terribly keen on the UN anyway. Education is mostly a funding post in the United States. I mean, I think he's clearly trying to deflect some criticism from that quarter. But, with only two female appointments so far and perhaps two non-white appointments, if he is really appointing Ben Carson, it runs the risk of being considered tokenistic.
Yeah, indeed. And his latest name that he's picked, Wilbur Ross, expected to be his choice for Commerce Secretary. Now, he's interesting. He's a billionaire investor, but one of the things he did was help shape Trump's economic policy. And, of course, there's been a lot of focus on that for Trump wanting to withdraw from major trade deals.
Commerce, I mean, again, commerce is also not an enormously important department. It usually goes to a prominent business figure. There's a separate Office of the Trade Representative, which I think is part of the White House. So I'm not sure how much disappointment reflects his trade policy directly. What is interesting is that he's drawing so heavily from Wall Street, which of course he criticized off and on during his campaign as part of his general, opposition to the elites. It sounds more like this pick, and also that of DeVos, the education secretary, is kind of a nod to those parts of the Republican Party who are really more concerned about lowering taxes and deregulating the economy. So I think he's trying more, it's more of a nod to certain domestic constituencies in business and in mainstream low-tax conservatism than it is something specific about the trade deals, I'd argue.
OK, I don't know if you heard Trump's Thanksgiving speech, but it was a much more calm and measured speech than we've heard from him from a long time. He was calling for unity, acknowledging that there were divisions that had to heal. I mean, I guess he's realizing now just how difficult it is going to be to bring the country together after such a brutal, vicious campaign.
Well, I mean, there are a couple. I mean, you can look at it generously and argue that he's attempting to be presidential as leader of the nation, of the national community, and that he is indeed attempting to bridge, these sorts of divides. On the other hand, if you're not of a generous cast of mind, you can certainly interpret unity as a sign that you don't want people to, that you want your opponents to stop talking or stop complaining, which his supporters can also read. It's both something you would expect the president to say and vague enough that his angrier supporters, will be able to twist it to their own meanings. You can interpret it as a call for reconciliation, or you can interpret it as a call that his opponents, whom he denigrated relentlessly and still, especially referring to the media, denigrates, you can interpret unity as a call for them to shut up. I mean, it's either or. He certainly sounds more presidential now. I would give him that.